Zone 1 is a lush, flourishing green landscape that contains the depths of sprawling underground caves with the beauty of the flowering surface world where wildlife thrives under the earth elements. Today, I am here to tell you everything that you need to know about Zone 1 in Hytale. Zone 1 was originally the starter zone for Hytales as it is the most basic and realistic to the world's atmosphere as you could pretty much get in Hytale unless you live in more of a desert or more of a wintry environment. Zone 1 has a bunch of fauna and wildlife that you can even see if you go for a walk in your backyard, or if you go taking a walk in the forest, you'll probably see a deer, you'll probably see some ducks, you'll probably see some birds, and all of those animals like foxes and rabbits as well. Twerks are probably going to be one of, if not the main combatants in Zone 1, and currently right now we know about 5 different types of them. The leader of the Twerks is the Twerk Chieftain, and he's got a big honking sword with his own runes on it, and he'll probably be a very beginner starter level boss in Hytale. Then we have the Twerk Shaman, which we know basically nothing about, but he does hold a cool staff with some yellow crystals. It could be gold, it could be lightning crystals, we don't know. The Twerk Warrior is probably going to be a big combatant that you'll see just roaming around in Hytale, and especially in Zone 1. Looks like that is the most armored Twerk out there. He wields a big axe. Good luck trying to fight him. The Twerk Sentry is probably the basic Twerk that you'll find out there. Just a Twerk with a spear, probably the hunting Twerk that we've seen. It's really cool. And last but not least, there is the Twerk Hunter, which is the hunting Twerk. It has a pet wolf. You don't want to fight them. I'm sure the wolf probably does quite a lot of damage. Another mob you'll find a lot in Zone 1 is the Quebecs, and this is the mascot of Hytale. Quebecs have quite a very cool different lifespan. They start off as seedlings, then they move up to younglings, then they go to tree singers and autumnal elders, then they go back to a tree where they drop their seeds. Fun fact, Quebecs never meet their parents, as their parents is just a tree who drops their seeds. They have leaf armor, razor spears. You do not want to mess with the razor leaf rangers. They have a very deep connection with Gaia, and pretty much everything around the Quebecs is all wood related. They have wooden armor, leaf armor, they have wooden slingshots, wooden spears. It's really cool, and I would love to meet the Quebecs in real life, but I just can't. Goblins are another big mob that you will find in Zone 1 in any of the caves or even their own specific dens. There is a goblin boss called Duke, which you probably don't want to fight. Duke looks very overpowered. I wonder who will be stronger, Chieftain or Duke. Who knows? Maybe we'll put him in a battle arena someday. But goblins, they throw bombs, they throw TNT, they throw whatever the heck they can at you, and sometimes in their own idle animations, they start juggling bombs. Wouldn't be surprised if they drop one and blow themselves up. That would be really funny. They also look like quite clumsy creatures, as we see in the trailer. Some of them literally just walk off the edge. They just walk off. They're not very smart, I guess you could say. Skeletons are another mob that you'll see a lot in Zone 1. Zone 1 looks like it's going to have the most basic looking skeletons with just a little hood. Sometimes they will have a bow, maybe they'll have a sword. Very, very basic armor. But once again, it's just a skeleton. It's just a basic mob that you'll probably find in caves, maybe at nighttime. Who really knows? But you don't want to mess with them. There's also a Zone 1 wizard, which could be a boss in Zone 1, which would be really cool to see. A very, very basic boss, but still a boss nonetheless, and I would love to fight one. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Moving away from the mobs right now, we're going to take a look at the main element in Zone 1. And in Zone 1, the main element is Earth, and that is represented by the Earth crystals, which is protected by this Earth golem. Each of the main zones has their own specific element. As we know, Zone 1 is Earth, Zone 2 is Wind, Zone 3 is Water, Zone 4 is Fire. Then there's 2 other elements. Zone 5 we assume is Lightning, and then Zone 6 we assume is Void. But we're sticking with Zone 1 here, and Zone 1, it makes sense that Zone 1 is Earth, as it is the most lush environment, and Earth just correlates with that very well. You can find Zone 1 Earth crystals in these zone circles protected by this small little stone golem, and these even, it looks like these tree root void eyes, which is really cool. We do not know what the element crystals have to do with the story, but once again, we'll find out once Hytale comes out. Moving on to some bosses now, we have Chieftain, who I mentioned a little bit earlier before, but Chieftain is the chief of all the Twerks. He's going to be the biggest, the baddest Twerk that you have to fight, and he really stands out with his red color paletting. Chieftain wields a very big sword, and I'm sure it probably does a lot of damage when you fight him. A boss battle with Chieftain could be quite interesting, as he probably is very strong, takes very little knockback, and has a lot of health, compared to you as the player, who probably takes a lot more knockback, has a lot less health, does a lot less damage, so it'll probably be more of a strategic fight early on in Hytale when you fight Chieftain, as he has so much health, does so much damage. You might have to outsmart them, because the Twerks are not the smartest creature out there. The next boss in Zone 1 that we mentioned earlier as well is Duke. This is the goblin boss, I guess you could say. It's actually the newest boss that has been revealed, and this was revealed in like 2021 or 2020, and this is the big boss that the goblins have. Duke seems like quite a big boss as well. Doesn't seem like the smartest guy out there, just like the Chieftain. So once again, you're probably gonna have to outsmart the Duke, because you're not just gonna run in there, hit him with the sword, and you're gonna win. That's not how it is gonna be. I'm sure Duke has way more health than you, does way more damage than you, and probably has a whole bunch of goblins and spawning all around all the time while you're trying to fight him. So once again, you're gonna have to put your brain to work to fight the Duke and just beat him. And then once you rank up in Hytale, get better gear, then maybe you could take him on in a 1v1. Who knows? But either way, Duke will be a fun boss to fight in Zone 1. In my opinion, the main final boss in Zone 1 is going to be the Void Spider. We don't know practically anything about the Void Spider right now, other than the fact that it is the Void Spider. We know there is a Void Dragon, there's Void Eyes, there's Void Spawns. Yes, the Void Dragon looks like a boss, and maybe the Void Spawns and Void Eyes aren't bosses, but the Void Spider looks like a very big spider controlled by Varen, who you're gonna probably have to fight in the caves of Zone 1. We know there are other little white spiders and brown spiders roaming around Zone 1. The white ones look like they're in the caves. Spiders, they look like they're on the surface world, and maybe once you get close and beat them all up, you go down into the caves, fight the Void Spider, maybe reclaim or save Zone 1 after you beat the Void Spider, and then move on to Zone 2 or Zone 3 or whatever you want to move on to next. All in all, the Void Spider looks like a really cool boss. I'd love to know more about the Void Spider in the future blog posts that are coming for Hytale, but right now, I think Zone 1's final boss is going to be the Void Spider. The Fence Stalkers is another mob that you will find in Zone 1, and it looks like they have a lot of human interaction. You can see that maybe you could be friends with the Fence Stalkers, or you could be foes with the Fence Stalkers. It really depends on the reputation system that Hytale has with them. You can drop some fish. The Fence Stalkers will drop all of its guard while you crawl or crouch up to the Fence Stalker. Maybe get as close as possible you can to it. And then also, if you do end up being enemies with them, all you gotta do is run around with torches, because Fence Stalkers don't like light. So it seems to me they're going to be more of a nocturnal swamp mob than just a mob that you'll find during the day. They also have a really cool symbiotic relationship with frogs that I would like to explore more in depth. There are so many different prefabs in Hytale. In fact, there's over 7,000 of them, and that was issued in the 2020 Edge article. That was about 3 years ago. So now I'm sure there's probably 8,000, 9,000, maybe even 10,000 different prefabs, which does include trees and plants and all that. But in Zone 1, there's going to be a whole bunch of prefabs, like Twerk camps, goblin dens, any sort of ruined castle or anything like that. There's going to be crazy underground dungeons that you're going to have to fight skeletons, goblins, anything like that. We've also seen gameplay of Ninja Charlie and another player go through the skeleton battle, and they fight in a prefab where they try to get the reward, which ends up being the fire sword. There's going to be so many prefabs in Zone 1. I'm sure in your first playthrough of Hytale, or even your first or second playthrough of Hytale, you won't even discover all of them, which is something that I've never really seen before, which is awesome. And I can't say that about Minecraft, because there's not that many prefabs in Minecraft. Zone 1 has so many different biomes we've already seen, and I'm sure they haven't even announced them all. At the moment, off the top of my head, we have the Autumn Forest biome, which personally one of my favorites in all of Hytale. There's the Plains biome, Swamp biomes, there's a Twilight Forest looking biome, there's regular forest, there's tall grass biomes, there's hills biomes, looks like a corrupted swamp biome, there's regular swamp biomes, there's a biome called Groves, there's the Wetlands biome, there's a Hills biome. There's so many different biomes just in Zone 1 itself. Then imagine taking all of those and looking at Zone 2 where all the different biomes in Zone 3, and then maybe even all the other biomes in Zone 4. And that's not even counting the underground in Zone 1, where you have so many different types of cave systems and everything like that. Zone 1 has the most biomes that we've seen so far, and I'm sure there's going to be more once Hytale comes out. But for now, just take a look at all the background concept arts, even just go on the Hytale website. pretty much every single image looks slightly a bit different, and I'm sure it's a different biome in Zone 1. The Klops are a mob that not a lot of people really talk about because we really haven't seen much about them. We see them in some sort of multiplayer concept arts, but we also see that they have their own specific dens. And we know from a blog post that the Klops are sort of like the wandering traders of Hytale. They'll be probably in every single zone, maybe Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. You can walk up to them, maybe trade. They're going to be like villagers in Minecraft. You could be able to trade with them, maybe get some cool rewards, get a cool sword, get a cool axe, get a cool pickaxe, depending what they're offering and what you're going to offer them back. I'm sure there'll be a really cool trading system. I'd love to know more about them, and I want to know a little bit about their dens as well. Can you raid them? Will they fight back? Who really knows? But once again, we'll see when Hytale comes out. Mob interaction in Zone 1 looks quite in-depth, and I really haven't seen many other games really do this before, especially in the more the block game MMORPG genre. So bears and Twerks have some sort of relationship. We see in a video where the Twerk and the bear are sort of like taunting or using some idle animations against each other. You can feed mice and any other mobs. I'm sure this is in any zone, but if you drop some cheese, mice will come up to you and they will take the cheese if you're not threatening them, which is really cool. Fen stalkers, I mentioned this earlier in the Fen stalker segment, but you can literally drop fish and Fen stalkers will, once again, they will come up to you and you can either befriend them, maybe attack them, we don't really know. Fen stalkers and frogs also have a really cool relationship. I assume in swamps, maybe if you start attacking frogs, Fen stalkers will come up to you and be like, hey, what are you doing with my friend? Stop attacking them. And then that's how you ruin your reputation with the Fen stalkers. And lastly, I want to talk about farming in Zone 1. And farming looks like it's going to be quite easy in Zone 1. It's sort of like how it is in just very basic Minecraft biomes, like a forest biome or anything that makes it very easy. Pretty much anything that's not a desert biome or a snow biome where it's ice freezes and all that. We see a lot of farming images that are specifically in Zone 1, and there's a lot of cool crops that have been grown there, so I would not be surprised if farming is the easiest in Zone 1, as obviously it is the most lush, the most thriving environment out there. We see a lot of foliage in Zone 1, which makes sense because it's the best zone to grow crops and all that. So farming in Zone 1 probably going to be your best bet, but who knows, maybe we'll see farming in Zone 2 and Zone 3. Maybe different and specific crops will be able to be grown in Zone 2, like cactuses obviously, and then in Zone 3 you'll have more, and then in Zone 3 you'll have more crops that are more winter themed, and then in Zone 2 you'll have more desert themed crops. But now in Zone 1 it seems like the best farming zone that we've seen so far, and I would not be surprised if it stays that way. So guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys did enjoy and you did learn something about Hytale in today's video, let me know in the comment section down below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more Hytale content. I'll try to do this for every single zone in the next coming months because, you know, I love putting out Hytale content out there. Also guys, if you are new here, if you guys are new here or you don't know, I do run a Hytale podcast with mine. Link will be in the description down below where we talk Hytale weekly. So go check it out. Links in the description down below. With that being said, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.